agency has generated over $750,000 in the last 30 days, and trust me, that didn't happen without making a ton of mistakes along the way. What I'm about to share with you are the 5 biggest mistakes that almost every new agency owner makes when getting into OnlyFans management. These are the same mistakes that cost me time, money, and momentum when I was actually first scaling. And if you actually learn from mine, you won't have to repeat the exact same mistakes I have for yourself. So whether you're just starting out an agency or you're already running one, pay attention, because avoiding these 5 mistakes could save you months of frustration and easily make you an extra 6 figures. Mistake 1 is actually trying to do everything yourself. This is one of the main reasons most agency owners burn out or never scale. When you first start OFM, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you can handle everything yourself, like chatting, traffic, acquisition, content management, client communication, and actually building the systems as a whole, all on your own. But here's the reality: if you try to do everything, you'll end up mastering. There are so many moving parts inside this business, and every single one requires time, focus, and deep expertise to perform at a high level. The quickest way to fail in OFM is trying to be the chatter, the socials manager, the operations manager, and the client acquisition specialist. You'll spread yourself way too thin, you'll make these mistakes, and you'll end up stagnating because you're constantly firefighting instead of actually improving. So that's why I always recommend getting a business partner. Splitting the workload isn't just about having help, okay? It's about building expertise inside your agency. A great structure that's worked for a lot of high-performing agencies, including mine, is having one person focus entirely on the back-end operations, things like chat systems, team management, and OnlyFans optimization, and then the other person focus on front-end operations, acquisition, marketing, and sales. You start to master your side of the business. That's exactly what's happened in my agency. By dividing responsibilities and actually focusing on our own zones of excellence, we've built a machine that works, and that literally works when we're sleeping. So our chat ratio is elite, our traffic systems are optimized, and our acquisition process is consistent and reliable. We're not trying to do everything, we're trying to do what we're best at, okay? At the highest level possible as well. You can outsource. For example, if you're strong on the front end, you're good at building acquisition, building relationships. You're good at acquisition, building relationships, and getting creatives signed, then outsource your chats to a reliable agency. Let them handle fan management whilst you double down on what you do in systems and delivery. Hire or partner with someone who's great at front end acquisition and marketing. Bring on talent to handle tasks you're not great at, so don't waste your time trying to become an expert in everything. Instead, leverage off the experts, okay? Because the reality is becoming excellent at one thing will make you far more money than being average at 10 different things, okay? Specialization scales, so specialization and simplicity scales. So trying to do everything yourself will keep you stuck and stagnant. So if you're serious about building a 6 or 7 figure OFM agency, stop trying to wear every hat, okay? Find your lane, dominate it, and build a team or partnership that covers the rest. Mistake 2 is trying to scale an unmotivated creator. This is easily one of the most common and most painful mistakes. I see new agency owners. This is easily one of the most common and most painful mistakes I see new agency owners make. They sign one creator, they get excited, and they go all in on her. And then they wonder why nothing's working. The truth, you can't scale someone who doesn't want to scale and who isn't actually motivated. You can't drag someone to success if they're not willing to put the work in themselves. Most agencies fail because they sign one creator who has a limited potential, no consistency, no work ethic, and then they end up pouring 100% of their energy, time, and attention into trying to make that one creator work. They build systems, write content plans, build a funnel, set up the chatting team, and the creator simply doesn't want to execute. You can only take someone as far as they are willing to go. If they are not shooting content, not following the plans you provide, and not staying consistent, it doesn't matter how good your systems are, they're going to be limited by the talent, okay? There's only so far you can carry someone who does not want to walk with you. That's why one of the most important lessons I've learned is to focus on horizontal scaling, not just vertical. So what that means is, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't shut off your acquisition systems the moment you sign a creator. Keep them running, keep signing creators, and keep testing. The goal isn't to take one creator to the moon. The goal is to build a roster that gives you an agency that actually gives you stability, data, and scalability. Because if you only have one creator, you're in such a dangerous position and you don't even realize it. If they quit, you are back to zero. Okay. If they burn out, your income disappears. So that at that point anyway, it's not even a business. That's a dependency. Instead, your goal should be sign 3 to 5 creators early on, balance, and actually lets you build up some sort of momentum. It allows you to test your systems across multiple profiles so you can see what actually works and what also doesn't. And on top of that, you can also see where the biggest ROI actually comes from. So once you have that base of creators, you can start building an A, B, and C team structure. This system has completely transformed how we run our agency. And here's how it works. A team, these are your high performers, the ones who are earning the most, producing the best content, and following every plan that you give them. They get the most attention, the best chatters, and more strategic focus. B team, these are your mid-tier creators, okay? So these are the ones that are actually showing effort and potential, but they might still be a bit inconsistent. And for C team, these are your low performers. You still give them the systems and the guidance, but minimal time investment. We currently run this ABC system with 40 to 50 creators, and it's one of the main reasons we've been able to scale so fast. It creates balance, removes dependency, and keeps the agency income consistent and protected. If one creator leaves, you don't have to start from zero again, okay? The system keeps moving, the revenue keeps flowing, and the team keeps operating how they usually would. So don't fall into this trap of thinking you'll find one perfect creator and scale them to 6 figures and all your problems will go away, because that's just not how it works. And it's not how business works anyway. Key is volume, structure, and selective focus, okay? So keep signing creators, keep your acquisition systems running 24/7, because when you have options, you have leverage, okay? And leverage is what gives you freedom and control within your agency. You'll learn far more from managing 5 creators at once than trying to perfect just one, okay? So that's how you build real systems, gather data fast, and identify who's actually worth your time. So remember, don't try to scale an unmotivated creator. Focus on horizontal growth, build your ABC tier system early, and create an agency that can't be shaken off by one creator leaving. That's how you scale sustainably and strategically. Mistake 3 is neglecting SOPs. So this one separates real business owners from the rest. When most people start their OFM agency, they're in a full hustle mode. You know, you're doing so much every day that you tell yourself you don't have time to slow down and document everything that you're actually doing. Here is the problem with that. If you don't take the time to actually create these SOPs, which are also known as standard operating procedures, you'll be stuck in the same loop forever. Okay, you'll just be working within the agency, because without SOPs, nobody on your team knows how to actually properly do your tasks when you delegate. So you'll spend hours personally showing every new staff member what to do, step by step, and then when someone leaves, which will happen, okay, it's inevitable, you'll have to do everything all over again with the next person. So that is not scaling, that's not scalable, that's just straight chaos. If you want to run a real business, you need to start documenting everything, okay? Every process, every task, every system that actually makes your agency run. From the onboarding to the chatting, you know, lead generation, the marketing, everything needs to be documented. It needs to be documented thoroughly, because Because the goal isn't to work for yourself forever, it isn't to work in the business forever. The goal is to be able to hand someone the playbook and actually have them execute it. And actually have them execute it without, you shadowing them and just overseeing absolutely every little finite detail that goes on within it. You want to be able to reach the point where you can just give those SOPs, them workflows to someone like a hiring manager, and they can just handle the entire process from start to finish, from bringing in the new staff, training them, and ensuring they actually follow your systems without needing constant supervision. So that's how you actually scale. That's how you actually buy back your time. So if you don't have this documentation for your systems, for your business, like your whole business will entirely depend on you. And at that point, it's not even a business, it's just a job. Okay, so even if it feels tedious at first, make it a non-negotiable habit. Every time you complete a task that you'll eventually delegate, record your screen, write a short guide, or outline every single step that you've had to take to complete that process. Your future self, your future team will thank you, okay? And you're just gonna make the task even bigger if you put it off. Like hiring and delegation is essential for growth, but if you have not built the foundations with SOPs, you're pretty much setting up everything to fail. Okay, so give yourself the best chance at success. Systemize everything, document everything, and make your agency trainable, repeatable, and ultimately scalable. Because if you don't do this, you will eventually become the bottleneck in your own business, which literally no one wants. Mistake four is being stuck in your own ways. This is where a lot of agencies fall off. They find one method that works, one chatting style, one marketing strategy, one traffic system, whatever it is, and they end up just getting comfortable. They stop testing, they stop innovating, and they ultimately stop adapting. And here's the harsh truth. The moment that you get complacent in this industry, you are finished. Okay, it's as straight as that. Social media algorithms are always changing. The OnlyFans market is always evolving and getting harder. So what worked 6 months ago might not work today, and what works today could be, obsolete in the next month or two. So people really need to actually take that into account. If you get too reliant on one traffic strategy, one chatting framework, or one funnel strategy, whatever it is, or one chatting strategy, you're pretty much setting yourself up for failure and to be overtaken. Because while you're still trying to squeeze results out of them old systems, other agencies are experimenting, they're innovating, and they're adapting to what actually is working now. The reason I'm saying this is because I've seen it happen time and time again. Agencies that were crushing it one year completely disappear the next because they stopped moving forward, they thought they had it all figured out, and they simply got left behind. The thing is that the main thing for you now is that you need to make sure that never ever happens to you, because in this business, your edge comes from constant evolution. You have to stay curious, you have to stay hungry, always, and I mean always, look for new ways to improve your systems, your chats, your funnels, and your team. You've always got to be a student and also apply that knowledge and adapt. Like, if you really want to know the best way to do that, that is through a network. So build relationships with other agency owners, stay in group chats, masterminds, get yourself in a network anywhere where a lot of people share what's actually working for them. Don't see other agencies as a competition though. See them as data points and see them as value exchanges, as what we do a lot of other agencies within our network. Because if someone else is getting better results than you, you need to find out why. Learn from it, test it, and implement it. Don't let your ego get in the way. And if you want to move even faster, just get a mentor. Find someone who is already ahead of the curve, someone who's navigating the changes in real time and can help you adapt before everyone else does. Having access to the right information early is the biggest advantage you can have in OFM. What separates the agencies that dominate long term from the ones that peak once and fade away. So, like I said, never get stuck in your ways. Never assume that you've figured it out. Just always, and I mean always, keep experimenting, keep learning, keep adapting, and just always stay on point. Because the truth is, the second that you get comfortable, someone else is getting hungrier, someone else is testing new ideas, and they're already building the system that will ultimately replace yours. Mistake 5 is underpaying staff. When you're starting out, the temptation to pay as little as possible is huge. If you look at your profit margins, you want to keep them high, and you think, if I can get someone to do this for, I don't know, like $3, $4, $5 an hour, why would I pay 7 or 10? That's a mindset that will absolutely destroy your agency from the inside out. Because here's the truth: if you pay cheap, you attract cheap talent, cheap results, and a lot of the time comes with cheap effort. So what you'll find is that the people who accept those kind of wages aren't necessarily the ones capable of helping you scale. They're the ones that couldn't get any better opportunity elsewhere. So you want them killers, you want them savages, you want them specialists. You just want people who are actually going to treat your agency like it's their own. I learned this the hard way, okay? So when we first actually started scaling, we were obsessed with maximizing margins, and we thought, if we can keep the labor cheap, we'll profit more. So we hired low-cost chatters, low-cost assistants, pretty much low-cost everything. And sure, on paper, it did look great, high margins, low expenses, but in reality, it was a disaster. The chats were always sloppy, response times, they were inconsistent, the motivation was non-existent, and worse, we had to constantly replace people because they either got bored, burnt out, or they just simply disappeared. That constant churn in your team will kill your momentum. It's inevitable, okay? You might think you're saving money, but really you're just paying for the same training and mistakes over and over and over again, okay? So here's what you actually need to understand. Good people know they're good. If someone is an elite chatter who can generate, for example, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a month in revenue, do you think they're going to join your team for $3 an hour? Of course not. They already know their worth, and they'll just go to work for an agency that respects it and that can see that. So when you pay bottom of the barrel rates, you're literally filtering out the best people before they even apply. You're building a business on the weakest possible foundation. People who don't have options. Okay, your team is only as strong as your weakest link. Top performers always have choices. Okay, so if your agency isn't offering competitive pay, you're not even running into the top of the talent. That means you'll only attract workers who are desperate, inexperienced, or unmotivated. And that's just literally the opposite of what you want. You want people who are representing your brand, who can actually speak to your creators' fans, following your training. The next thing that happens when you underpay staff is psychological. When someone knows they are being underpaid, they also know they're replaceable. And when people feel replaceable, they just stop trying. Do the bare minimum to keep the job, they clock in, they clock out, and they never go the extra mile. Why would they? If they're earning a wage they can replace in a week somewhere else, there's absolutely no incentive to pour their energy, creativity, or loyalty into your business. On the other hand, when you pay people really well, something amazing happens. They start to actually care. They start to see your business as their own. When someone's earning a solid, above average wage, they're proud of their job. They'll protect it, they'll fight for it, and they'll make sure that their performance is worth the money, because essentially you don't want to lose it. Paying well creates loyalty, loyalty creates consistency, and consistency creates results. So when you pay better, you can actually run leaner. Low paid workers usually require heavy supervision. You have to constantly check their work, correct their mistakes, and babysit them. So that's time, and as we all know, time is money. Time is like the only finite source you're getting. So when you pay well and attract real professionals, they don't need micromanagement. They take ownership, they think critically, they solve problems before they even reach you. That's exactly what we started to see in our agency when we changed our pay structure. We began paying way above the industry standard, and almost overnight, the quality of applicants skyrocketed. Started hiring people who were actual assets to the business. They weren't just doing a task, they were improving the systems themselves. They were coming up with better scripts, optimizing fan funnels, spotting patterns in data, suggesting improvements, and just ultimately improving the operations as a whole. So these are the people who actually move the needle. And because they were more capable, we didn't need as many of them. Our team got smaller, leaner, and more efficient, but way more powerful. Okay? So ironically, by paying more, we actually became more profitable because the output per person went through the roof. Now let's talk about the ripple effect this has on your clients, your creators. When your team is underpaid, their performance is inconsistent. Messages get sloppy, retention drops, fans churn faster, and as you guessed, the creators notice. If a creator feels like their chart isn't giving 100%, they'll blame the agency, and that's when your client churn starts climbing. Okay? You might think your margins are protected by saving $2 an hour, but if you lose one good creator because of a poor service, you've just lost thousands and even tens of thousands in recurring revenue. It's ultimately a false economy. Underpaying doesn't save you money, it just shifts where you lose it. Instead of losing dollars in payroll, you'll lose them in opportunity, and you'll also lose time. So when we started paying people top rates, everything changed. We attracted professionals who took pride in their work. Okay, we built a culture of accountability, loyalty, and performance. And as you guessed, our agency exploded. The quality of delivery improved, our churn rate dropped, and our creators started referring other creators because the experience was actually exceptional. If you want to build a seven-figure agency, you need seven-figure people. Okay, and seven-figure people don't work on $3 an hour. So those are the top 5 biggest mistakes to avoid in OFM. If you can sidestep even half of these, you're already 90% ahead of all the other agencies out there. Because most people don't fail because OFM doesn't work. They actually fail because they approached it completely wrong. They try to do everything themselves. They work with the wrong creators. They don't build systems. They stop evolving, and they underpay the very people who could have helped them scale. This business isn't just about luck, okay? It's about structure, systems, and standards. Everything else follows. Your clients, your revenue, and your reputation. So if you've got value from this, drop a like, subscribe, and if you are serious about building your agency properly, not just guessing and winging it, then check out the link in my description. You'll find my free OFM blueprint that walks you through how to structure your systems, hire your first team, and scale past 6 figures. This industry moves fast, so the faster that you move, faster you implement, essentially is going to be the faster that you win. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one.